I'll do. So I've got the story about the Good Samaritan car attack here. I know it's a few days old now, this story. I didn't want to report on it when it first came out because there was a few of the details hadn't been released. But I was almost certain that with how serious the incident was, that it would be that it would be in court very, very quickly. Anyway, I've just found an article from the BBC which appears to say that it's already gone to court and that somebody has been officially charged, and so all names have been released. For those of you who don't know, basically what's happened is in Sheffield, there's been a wedding going on just after Christmas, kind of like Romeo and Juliet style family feud going on between the two families. But rather than the families coming together for the, due to the tragedy of the couple, let's say, it's ended up with the families getting into a fight in the street. I believe knives were involved, and then one of the families of the man who was getting married, the groom, he's gone and got a car and driven into the crowd of people at about 50 miles an hour, an insane speed. And this man has been intervening and he's been killed. He's just a good neighbour, really. He was trying to break up the fight. Now, my understanding is as well is that this was I believe, a Muslim wedding. People from either India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, families originate from there. Loads and loads of people in attendance. The man who's been killed, though, he's a white Englishman, most likely of Anglo-Saxon descent. And he's got himself involved really in something that he shouldn't have, and I don't think he understood actually what he was getting himself involved into, and the actual level of tribalism that comes from these parts of the world. Even when you have people who are living over here and born here, they are born still into that tribalism. That tribalism still exists, and this man was just like a lamb to the slaughter, in my opinion. He just had no idea what the actual insanity that was going to happen. Personally, if I see a bunch of Asian people fighting, I'm staying well away. Absolutely well away, because they'll all just turn on you in a second as well. Same with people of African descent. If you see a group of African people fighting, let them do it. Don't get involved, because if you get involved, they'll all turn on you. It's just the nature of the beast. Tribalism. It's bad, but it exists, unfortunately. So anyway, let's crack on with the story. Sheffield Good Samaritan murderer accused in court. A 23-year-old man has appeared in court charged with murdering a father of two who was hit by a car as he tried to help a stranger in Sheffield. Chris Marriott, 46, died while giving first aid to a woman lying unconscious in a street in the Burngreave area of the city on Wednesday. I mean, how tragic is it that this man, in the middle of this madness, and I'm not criticising him here, he's just gone in to do the right thing. You know, in all things being right, he did the absolute right thing, running in to give help to people. And what's happened? He's been murdered. He's been murdered for helping. No, the old saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. They crucified Jesus for doing the right thing, and never forget that. Doing the right thing is not the popular thing, unfortunately. Hassan Jangur, apologies to his family if I pronounced your surname wrong, unfortunately. It's Jhangur. I think it's Jangur. I apologise if I've butchered that pronunciation to the family, not to this individual, but to his family, because they're not necessarily at fault. Of Whiteside Road, Sheffield, appeared at the city's magistrates' court on Saturday. He's also charged with 5 counts of attempted murder. Well, that's because he's ploughed into the entire crowd of people in a car at 55 miles an hour. That's the speed. I mean, he might say different here, but that's the speed that I've previously seen. I believe 55 miles an hour. The case was adjourned until Tuesday, when Mr. Jangur is due to appear at Sheffield Crown Court. He has been remanded in custody. Now, this is what I was saying in one of my other videos as well, about the cultural enricher caught on camera update video. And it's about the man who was caught playing with himself in a window, video recorded. Now, this man here, and I'm not saying that this isn't wrong, because how serious this is, he's ended up in court straight away here, like, especially over the Christmas holiday period, straight in court, no mucking about. That man who was fondling himself in front of a woman in a house with her young children that you can hear the nursery rhymes in the background, and with it being, you can tell by looking through the other houses in the street, it's 2 up, 2 down terraced houses, so you'll be able to see right through the kitchen into the living room. I'm telling you that now. Those children will most likely have seen what was going on with that man. Why is he not straight in court as well? This is the joke of our legal system at the moment. Oh, and then my last video as well, where the judges have allowed an ISIS terrorist permanent right to reside in the UK with his identity protected. Madness. At least this guy's in court. No, that's something. Take the wins where we can get them. So on Friday evening, South Yorkshire Police said the 32-year-old woman remained in hospital in serious condition. Sounds like she's been stabbed. Officers said Mr. Marriott, who they described as a good Samaritan, had been walking with his sons, aged 6 and 8, when the incident. Oh my goodness, that's like the age of my kids. That I've got 4 kids, are between 10 and 6. Oh my god, I couldn't imagine them seeing that in front. Me being killed in front of them. And I've performed first aid on somebody in the street, a man who was really, really drunk. It's around the corner from where I live. He basically vomited all over himself. He'd urinated on himself. Blind drunk. Really, really tragic story about. He wasn't an alkie. It was the anniversary of his son's death, who died a couple of years before, and he'd gone into town and he'd just gone into the pub to mourn a bit and had one too many. I mean, he was quite violent, but he was that drunk. He was quite an old bloke. He was retired. So he was no risk to me. But even with that, I gave my mum my car, because my mum was with me. I gave my mum my car keys. I said, "Mum, take the kids away. They can't be seeing this." And that was, even now, that was 8 months ago, I think that was now. And even now, the kids still bring it up to me like, "Oh, Daddy, that was terrible for that man, wasn't it?" So I couldn't imagine what these two boys was. I just can't imagine what it must be like for those two poor young boys. The dad's gone in to do the right thing here. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. He was among several people, including an off-duty midwife, who had also stopped to help, hit by a car on College Close, the force said. Mr. Marriott died at the scene. In a statement, his family said he was a wonderful husband, dad, brother, uncle, and friend to many. I mean, that's the end of the story there. Just a short BBC article. I'll put the link below. Have a bit of a scout around. I'm sure there are other stories where it does say that people were getting stabbed and knives were getting flung around. And the thing with this, it's like with what's happening in America at the moment, where if you start looking into a lot of stories and you see a lot of crime against what's happening against white people, where they're getting shot or attacked by minority groups, it's over really asinine things that don't really matter. Like, you might have somebody who lives in like a shared accommodation, and this is actually a real story that I just recently saw. A guy went outside, asked his neighbour, "Oh, you don't mind just picking up your dog poop, do you? Just don't just leave it on the grass." And the guy who had his dog, he was African American, pulled out a gun and shot him for it. And this is why now in America, people are ringing the police for everything rather than dealing with things. Unfortunately, we're going to start seeing more situations like this as these communities get larger and larger and more established and become more enclaved as they currently are. Colonies, really. To an extent, it's becoming colonisation in some parts of the country, in my opinion. We're going to start seeing more and more tribalism like this, and people are going to start, unfortunately, learning the hard way not to get involved in these foreign conflicts that are happening on our streets, because they will not hold back against you. And unfortunately, people in the West have lived very, very soft, decadent, and pampered lives, and they are not prepared for the storm that's coming when they see it. Anyway, I'll put the story below, the link to that. It's just a BBC article, very short. If you found that informative, please like, subscribe, put a comment below. I'll post another video later. Bye-bye.